Welcome to our live mentoring and Q&A call. This is Andre, and it is great to be with you during this season of Thanksgiving. I want to start out by not only wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving, but also to express my gratitude for the pleasure of working with all of you and the enthusiasm you've shown for my work and the LLA program. It has been lots of fun, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to many great seasons ahead and to a new year, frankly. Before the holiday, I wanted to get in another call to give you ideas to reflect on and to help you in your preparation for a new season of opportunity. I found the holiday season to be a time where many revelations really crystallize and solutions to questions become apparent, often obvious solutions. During this call, I want to talk with you about a topic that I've been thinking about, which is consistent with the holiday theme that I know will be helpful to you. And then after that, I will, as usual, take your questions. So let's get started. This is a season of reconnection and affirmation of our relationships with friends, with family, with business colleagues, neighbors, acquaintances, and much more. It seems in this world, and it's become very apparent this year, there are so many people who are at odds with each other and have difficulty getting along. But of course, we're all connected. And once we understand that, everything becomes easier. And perhaps during the public health crisis that we've experienced this year, that has become more apparent, and that has been a good byproduct of a challenging time. I've highlighted the phrase this week, relationship building. And this week, I'm looking at our 5 LLA result areas as usual, which once again are a well-defined niche, an offer artfully presented to the right audience with a call to action and a reason to act now, elevated, refined product experiences, growing communities of inspired clients, and continuous high-level marketing. Well, in keeping with this relationship building theme, I'm going to briefly comment on building a family of clients for your luxury business. That's right, we're building a family. And there are many ways to look at building your business. We've talked about creating inspired clients, using your personality, becoming active versus passive, mastering follow-up, what I call classic luxury marketing. But all of these ideas are all interwoven with the act and art of relationship building. I can remember a client saying to me, I asked him, how do you approach selling? And he said to me, well, it's very simple. What I do is I try to get my prospect to like me. And it was a very simple answer, but profound in its significance and its relevance to what we're talking about. Now, I will admit that sometimes it sounds complicated and perhaps even tedious to do all of the things that I suggest during these calls and in the course. And sometimes you can get lost in thinking of these as individual things that you have to do. It might seem that way. It might seem complex, and there is a degree of complexity. But in reality, once you grasp the philosophy behind it, you'll understand that these are just layers of understanding. These are not hundreds of disparate things or dozens of disconnected things. They have a relationship. And part of that is understanding what the relationship is between these ideas and how that relates to what you're doing, which in this call, we're talking about also relationship. For example, one of the things that you're creating in your niche is mutual attraction. So you are attracted to a particular prospect, and that prospect is attracted to you. And that is something that you are going to stimulate in your marketing. You're also going to stimulate mutual reciprocity. That is, I do something for you, you do something for me. There's a feeling of connection and obligation that someone feels when they get connected to you. Like, oh, you know what? I've got to give him a call. You know what? I've got to wish him well. I've got to do something for him. I've got to show him this. I've got to acknowledge this. There's conversation, which is something like I constantly say to you is vital to your success in what you do. There's comfort that you create in the relationship. There's continuity, meaning that these things continue. They don't just, you don't do them once, you continue. And then there's commitment on both sides. There's commitment to the client, and the client has a commitment to you. So these are the objectives of the various strategies and the tactics that I suggest in the process. Now, sometimes I'll be asked when, where do I find a list of potential clients? Someone will ask me that. Or they'll say, I don't have a list. A couple of you have said to me, I don't have a list. I had the same thought when I first began looking at consulting with those targeting affluent audiences. And a friend of mine set up a breakfast for me with another consultant on Long Island, thinking that he could be helpful to me. And so we met for breakfast, and over breakfast, I described this high-minded, exclusive world that I was entering and how I was going to help these clients become even more high-minded and more exclusive in luxury, in affluence, in wealth, and service, and all these things. And this consultant looked at me with almost a blank stare, and he said, well, I think what they really want are more sales. And that should have been obvious to me as a sales professional, as an entrepreneur. But as I started to look at this world of affluence, I hadn't linked the idea of how my clients would use my consulting. I thought of it as, wow, I'm going to make these people more polite, more professional, more polished, if you will. And I had created a niche that would be difficult to build relationships in. And that's because it wasn't simple for the average buyer to understand. Now, even though I do that, I had to step back and look at my presentation, my marketing, and my delivery differently. And I also had to look differently at who I was doing this for. So as we look at this slide here, there's some key ideas for you to understand. First of all, there are highly qualified prospects for your luxury product or service everywhere. Everywhere you turn. And those are past and those are existing clients, and they're prospects. And there are people building lists for you. Just as an aside, I once said to a client, she and I were talking about where she might find prospects. And I was saying to her that often when I'm in Manhattan and I'm meeting in one of the hotels, there will be an electronic board there. And on the board will be names of groups that are meeting in the hotel. And those groups are often candidates for certain services. And right there in the hotel, you have a cross-section of all of the people in a particular industry in one place. or at least those people who are attending a conference in one place. Just an example of someone who's built a list for you and put it right there on the board and told you where to meet the people. When you rethink your niche, and this is why I say the 5 result areas are so important to understand deeply. When you rethink your niche, this all becomes apparent. You'll see lists everywhere. You'll see candidates everywhere. And you have to serve a niche, but you have to be careful that you're not trying to be so narrow or so nuanced that finding prospects is challenging and expensive. And this is particularly relevant when it comes to luxury, affluence, and wealth. Because as I've said to you, most of the population is not thinking about this. And the population that is thinking about this often feel that they have those connections and those relationships that satisfy their desires. So you have to remember that you're looking to serve a simple niche, and within that niche, you have defined simple segments. And a rethinking of your client, a rethinking of your niche, can significantly enhance your business. Now, this brings me to one of our members, one of our spectacular members, Lancia. I said to Lancia that I was going to comment about her business during this call. And Lancia has an outstanding business, and in my opinion, is on the verge of breaking through in a very big way. She has beautiful products. She has an excellent presentation, both personally and online. And on her website, she says, I'm a designer of polished lifestyle services. And she goes on to describe she's the creator of a polished lifestyle. And her niche is presented as wedding gifts, gifts for corporate gifts, and stationery. And of course, her spectacular artistic pieces. And she is a really good example of someone who I believe will benefit greatly by a slight tweak in what she's doing and the way it's being messaged and the way it's being marketed. So let's explore how Lancia can multiply and expand her relationships. Well, my recommendation for Lancia is to modify her messaging and her marketing slightly to align with the prospect's business objectives. Now, she's got business objectives there in terms of corporate gift giving, and she's got business objectives there in terms of real estate closing, one segment. But if she looked at it a little bit broader, slightly broader, there are opportunities to offer gifts for sales, marketing functions, and fundraising across many different categories. By clarifying the use of her products, so in one case she's got real estate closing, but there are many other uses of her great products and services, she could broaden her prospect universe. So here's what I mean by this. Just take a look at some of these headlines that came from off the top of my head. These would be marketing pieces or marketing messages. Number one, elevate your marketing with our surprise gift box. So what are we saying here? If you're marketing a product or service to your clients, how about incorporating a gift box from Lancia Designs with a surprise in it? Now, in this case, what she'd be doing is marketing a lumpy mail concept, showing others how they can use her boxes to provide variety and intrigue and interest in the marketing process. Now, there's a lot of industries that can do that beyond real estate. Here's another headline: Cultivate affluent donors with our Appeal gift box. Here, we're into philanthropy. In the nonprofit sector, they're always cultivating high-end donors. Will you help us add this wing? Will you help us fund this project? Will you contribute to our gala? And some of these donors, they're calling on for very significant gifts. They're looking for $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. Well, how do you appeal to someone like that, and how do you nurture that? Well, they could use Lancia's beautiful boxes with a beautiful message and beautiful gifts and beautiful things inside to do that. Another possibility is celebrate your client's major purchase with our congratulatory gift box. Now, she's got real estate closings, and the idea there is that the realtor gives to the new homeowner a beautiful gift upon closing. But there are many other situations. Someone is promoted. Someone is named in charge of something. Someone buys a new expensive automobile. There's so many milestones in someone's life, sells their business. There's so many other factors where this comes into play. The last one I have here is recognize achievers with our Top Achievers gift box. Again, a box could be created that could be offered, and in it could have lots of specific things tied to one's personal achievement. Now, taking this approach by broadening the messaging and marketing a little bit, this opens up a whole new universe. And these messages can go to existing clients. They can go to new clients. They can go to prospects. You can build marketing sequences around them. And in doing this, your business will take a different shape in a new way. What you'll be doing there is you'll be adding luxury marketers to your client list. You'll be adding nonprofits and philanthropy. You'll be adding gift giving for the purpose of marketing impact as a new niche. And so just by slightly altering what she's currently doing, I see lots of possibilities and a steady stream of messages and marketing that could be used to tie this all together. In relationship building, this really relates to everyone on the call. You're trying to create a unique connection, that family connection. And you know how you have that unique connection with a sister or a brother or an uncle or someone. You go to a gathering and there's often somebody that you have like a different dynamic with when you see that person. Some of you will experience that this week as you communicate during Thanksgiving. You want to start out with this in mind. And the goal is you are trying to bring that person along to make that relationship extremely valuable. In the process, you're going to orchestrate a series of steps. One of the mistakes people make in business is they think that they can just show someone something and that person's going to respond. And that's not the way it works. So you have to start out by separating yourself from others by, number one, being focused on putting yourself in a category of one. You do that by introducing yourself differently, by aligning yourself with ideas differently, more so than anyone else. And the best way to do that is with your marketing. As you are marketing, you're also teaching them how to use your products. You're not just saying, I have this. You're saying, here's how you use it. Number three, it's a way of demonstrating that we are creating a different relationship here. You know, one of the things that, getting back to Lancia, who has said to me in her communication with me, is I love the way you continue to stay engaged with your clients. And why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I enjoy working with all of you, but there's mutual benefit. I'm attracted to your products. I'm attracted to the idea of seeing you develop. I'm attracted to the idea of seeing you grow in your relationship with my company and decide to do more and more with me. I also learn more about how to serve you and what new offerings I can present. So that is one of the byproducts of marketing that sometimes we don't understand. When you do this in this way, you completely separate yourself from everyone else because no one does this. And very few people do this and do it well. This is the equivalent of bringing your client into a private room where there's no one else around and you're speaking one-on-one with them. There's no interruption, like you're on social media where they see you and they see everybody else. There's no interruption, there's no confusion, and you're having this one-on-one relationship with them. That's, by the way, and I'll go into this private room principle with you maybe during another call a little more deeply, but that's what you're trying to do. When you go to Disneyland and you are enjoying yourself, imagine if the person who was driving a ride said to you, I know you like this, but if you really want to go to a great ride, you should go to Universal Studios. Well, that will never happen because you're in a private relationship with Disney when you're there. And when you're in that private relationship, you're completely in their world, in their stories, in their moments, in their music, and all the while you're buying Disney ice cream and Disney sandwiches and everything else. Doing this right will give you access and priority like family. And that's the goal in this marketing dynamic. Here's an example I came across. In 1998, I was named one of New York City's top minority executives by a trade journal, Crain's New York Business. Not long after, I received a hand-delivered box with a bottle of champagne and a letter congratulating me as part of Moet's nationwide celebration of African American achievers. They got past my gatekeeper, they got my attention, and they began a marketing dialogue with me. Now, the goal in doing this was part branding, and it was part getting a relationship with a group of affluent and wealthy African American entrepreneurs. The goal was, look, let's connect with these people who are prime targets for our products. Let's get them to buy more champagne for their clients, or champagne, as they say in France, for my clients, as gifts and to enjoy. This is an expensive example of lumpy mail. This is discussed in the course, but this was aimed at 100 or so high-profile, high-earning people on this list. And frankly, whatever this cost, this was an efficient marketing strategy. I'm still telling you about this. I just happened to come across this letter the other day. By the way, a lot of interesting things about this letter that I'll point out. One is, notice there are lots of words on it. Today, people don't write letters like this, which is a shame because it is one of the most effective ways, as I say repeatedly, to connect with someone continually. A letter on stationery is one of the most effective ways. Just ask political campaigns. One of the most effective ways. The other thing is, notice a couple of things going on here. Number one, this has two signatures. Noel Henkin, who's a vice president there, was there. And Terry Williams, some of you may know that name, but Terry Williams was a celebrity PR person who was, well connected in New York City, whom I knew. She had clients like Eddie Murphy and Johnny Cochran and Spike Lee, just a whole list of clients. She was someone who signed the letter, crossed out Mr. Taylor, put Andre, because we had a personal connection. So this is what we call in marketing an endorsed mailing, whereby someone I know co-signs the letter, or the letter comes from that person. It kind of breaks through. Sometimes you'll get an endorsed mailing from like a celebrity. There'll be like a name on it, and you'll see the celebrity's name, and they're like, oh, wow, look at this. Why is this person writing me? Or what is this about? It'll say, the President of the United States, something on it. Or, someone you really know. So this is an example of the power of just correspondence and how you can use it pretty efficiently. As I said earlier, there are people and organizations building lists for you, and they are everywhere. You can start building a relationship with these individuals to start your marketing campaigns and process. So here's an example. I just pulled up Atlanta's 25 most influential people. I believe this was in Atlanta. Yeah, it was in Atlanta Magazine, which is one of the modern luxury magazines, which are referenced in the course as a place to go. You can go through this list and you can connect with these 25 people, and you can start a dialogue. You can start building this kind of dynamic with them. Here's another example. Every city has a magazine. This is from, I think, Philadelphia Magazine. This is an old one from 2016, but it lists the top dentists. It says here 234 best dentists in the Philadelphia region, and it has their names, addresses, and phone numbers. This is in every city. These are lists that are widely available. There are top doctors. There are top lawyers. I get them all the time by email, in magazines, and I've trained myself to see them all the time. So these are candidates for you to get to know someone. If you're starting out and you don't know where to begin, this is a great place to start. Now, after you pick a high-quality prospect, you have to orchestrate a marketing sequence. Ideally, you want a list where prospects are responding to you. But if you don't know where to start, you can make overtures to a high-quality list that someone has already built for you. And those might be memberships to a trade association. They might be high-profile people in magazines. It might be the people on television who are bringing you the news and bringing you various reports. There's a whole program on television, for example, I saw the other morning, realtors, and this was a paid program. They basically bought this space, this time, I think it was Saturday morning. They were talking about the real estate market across the country. They had segments that were done by various realtors all across the country. Well, all those people are candidates for some services and products of people on this call right now. So it's a great way to begin your marketing process. One letter, one call, or one email will do nothing. You must pre-plan a sequence of marketing communication that tells a story while asking for the sale each time. That is what you're doing here. Ideally, your marketing sequence mixes channels and mixes media. Now, here's what I mean. This isn't about just doing this online. This is about mixing channels and media. Admittedly, this can be a challenge. And this is something that we all can get better at. That's one of the commitments that I'm making to myself, is to get better at this year and to incorporate more of this into my activities. But again, the goal is to move that relationship to that private room. So yes, you might meet the person on LinkedIn, you might meet the person on Instagram, you might meet the person elsewhere, but then they go through a different channel. They might go through your webinar, they might go through your email marketing list, they might be getting pieces from you in the mail, they're getting phone calls from you. So you've taken them off road, so to speak. You've taken them into a private room where you can build that relationship. That high quality mixed media does the work. of relationship building. When you finally meet that person or you finally interact with that person in another way, they're really happy to meet you. They're excited to interact with you. Not only that, they feel like they know you already because you have been so effective at your communication. Now, remember a couple of things. When you're doing this and you're communicating, whether it's email, whether it's by letter, we're sometimes tempted to say too many things and to offer too many things. I was saying to a friend and coaching client the other day that he sent a piece out and he just had too many things going on. A headline, sub-headlines that didn't make sense with the headline. He had too many references in his bio that were confusing. You do this and you do that, you do the other thing, you do the other. He had too many links sending people other places. Remember the private room principle. Get them into a space and environment where you can have a focused conversation. So one idea at a time. If you're talking about being able to improve their holiday marketing, just talk about that. Don't send them to other pages where you are doing other things unless that enhances the message that you're giving. So be careful about sending prospects multiple places. Don't discuss competing ideas. Make your point, tell a story, and link that story to a call to action. That's the goal here. Okay, let's summarize what we have covered here. You are in the relationship building business. And as a luxury business, you must learn how to do this in a superior fashion. If you have 5 people on your list who have done business with you, you've got a list. Don't discount those people who have done business with you before. You should also be marketing to them in a sequence. Now, their sequence will be a little different, but you should be sending messages to them. You should be introducing them to new products. You should be reactivating them. You should be telling them what you're doing with others, because that will give them ideas on how to work with you. In addition to that, look for lists that are all around you of high-profile candidates for your offering. And often these lists are published everywhere. Yes, you can go out and you can buy a list. Ultimately, I would say to you, you want to build a relationship with a list broker. Once you really get this nailed and you understand who your client is, and you can start testing things. You can start testing American Express card members who have bought a certain product. And you can start testing. And you can go out and get thousands of them. And you can buy a list of all kinds of different categories. You can buy mailing lists of specialized magazines, and all sorts of things. And in some cases, you can buy that now for very little, or rent it, I should say, for very little, because these magazines that are highly specialized aren't as expensive as some of these highly specialized lists. You're talking about $100 per 1,000. You want to combine this effort, and once you start to develop this list of high-profile candidates, and by the way, they have both email addresses in many cases and street addresses. You want to combine that effort with your marketing to attract people to your list with something they want. Now, I'm going to say to you that the most interesting thing is that people want information. So they want to know how to pick a great leather good, what to give someone, the difference between different forms of leather. They want to know how to select the right gift, what gift is most appropriate. They want to know how to counsel someone during difficult moments, what to give someone who might be discouraged. And so if you're in any of those businesses or some of the other business represented, how to, groom, how to start a beautiful closet of clothing, how to select the right colors for you, how to, all these things, how to put things together, items together. That information is bait, so to speak, for a person to engage with you because they'll want that. So this is an example. My webinar about Become a Luxury Lifestyle Advisor, talks about how one can do that independently. It is only midway through the presentation where you learn that I have a program where you can become part of that and learn these very ideas that we're talking about. In all cases, you must orchestrate a sequence of conversations and marketing, and ideally in a private room. So remember the private room principle. In the holiday film, one of my favorites, Miracle on 34th Street, an older gentleman, Kris Kringle, begins work inside New York Macy's department store. Most appropriately, gets a job playing Santa Claus, and which, the whole point of the film is maybe this is the Santa Claus. While kids visit him and they're sitting on his lap, and he asks, well, what do you want for Christmas? He says, well, you're going to get that. And the parents are trying to discourage him from saying certain things because they can't find these. And they're getting angry and they're saying, look, I looked all over and I can't find this thing that he wants. Kris begins to tell the parents other stores where they can get the product. Go to Gimbel's, go to this department store, and so forth. And at first, R.H. Macy, the founder of Macy's, is outraged. But in the movie, this turns out to multiply sales at Macy's. This only happens in the movies. You want to keep your clients in your private world, and you want to supply them with what they need. You want to elevate the feeling in them that no other option exists, that everything they need, everything that will satisfy their needs is available through you. And that's the private room principle. Because, once they look elsewhere, they're going to find other things and they can get distracted and find themselves focused on what the other person delivers. And that's not what you want to do as a marketer. And by the way, I'm about to violate this principle right now because I got a note from April. She says, AT, if you're okay with this, will you share with the group tomorrow on the call? If not, I totally understand. But I'm going to share this with you. This was on my heart to share with LLA colleagues, she says. And she talks about, based on last week's subject, she's passing on a book recommendation and podcast. See, you can't keep people from looking elsewhere, but this is okay. She says these last 8 months have been somewhat of a challenge in the self-care arena and staying laser focused in the important areas of BOSAT Cho. She stumbled on Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. She said it wholeheartedly helped her refocus on her personal and business values and goals and live more purposefully. So she's recommending everyone take a look at that, and I would encourage you to do that. She said, I think Andre secretly had a hidden camera installed in my personal spaces when he very gently scolded the group about taking care of our luxury business and leave the negative junk on the side of the road. Guilty as charged. By the way, in the LLA course, I discuss extensively your mornings and how to organize your day and so forth. So it says when you're not re-listening to Andre's courses and videos, maybe consider adding Hal to your personal growth library. HalElrod.com is his website. Yours forever in luxury. Take a look at that. I encourage you to do that. It's always good to exchange ideas. And now I am going to open the call so that we can have your comments and we can have your questions. Lancia, it looks like you are unmuted.
Good afternoon, Andre, and good afternoon to all our LLAs. So glad to be here again. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Same to you.
But thank you, Andre, for highlighting and showing me ways I could progress even further and move. Some of them, as you mentioned, I did, for example, the philanthropy. There was a passion for fashion event at Bloomingdale's. This was, I think, a year or two, probably 2 years ago. But that I did it through Harrow, so it was not really compensated for. I offered my gift boxes to the VIPs for this fundraising passion for fashion. It was supporting the abused children in Fairfax County. They hosted an event, and that's where I had donated actually my gift boxes to the VIPs. So that was one of the events that I just wanted to mention that since you brought up Cultivate Affluent donors, of course, we don't get the list because it was hosted by, the nonprofit for the kids.
Keep in mind a couple of things. Number one, whether or not you were compensated really doesn't matter, because when you have that experience, you can market that experience to others.
Yes.
And so that is a story you can tell in your marketing, and that is interesting, and that will make others interested in what you did and interested in participating with you. Someone who sees your marketing doesn't know at all, in fact, how you were compensated with another relationship. All they know is that someone else trusted you enough to work with you, and therefore you must be the person to work with.
Mm.
So that is why you have to look at all of the things that you've done and say, how do I use this in my marketing communication as bait to attract others? That's why those various segments you should continue to market to. You gave something away or you contributed, but there are other situations where someone would buy it from you. So when they have an event at a 5-star hotel, the hotel is not giving the place away. They're not giving, that stuff away. They're paid for it. You have to take a look at that and say, how do I use all these things? You've got a lot. It's just a matter of tweaking that and making it clear in your communication that that's an option. So you can have marketing that's going to nonprofits, marketing that's going to these corporations, all with different messages. Every couple of days or a couple of weeks, they're getting something else from you until they decide to take you up on one of your offers. And that's how it's done.
Thank you, Andrea. I like that because I think posting on social media, like I posted it on LinkedIn, I've started listening more to what you're saying now, is doing the marketing letters and doing the sales letters, which I wasn't doing in the past because I used to just hit a blank. But you've helped us tremendously. And for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you for that.
Remember this idea of mixed media.
Yes.
So here's what you did with me. You connected with me, and I don't know if maybe you were in the LLA program, I don't know, but I went to my mailbox and I had a package from Lansing.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't expect it, but I had a package from Lansing. And I looked at this and, oh my goodness, look at this. And I spent a good half hour going through the package, looking at the pieces, reading through the book. That was a private room that you had put me in. Now, what's that?
Without knowing it was a private room.
Right. But that's what you did. Now imagine if we didn't have a relationship in the way we do. I see you posting online. A couple of days later, I happen to get a card from you. Then I happen to see a video from you. Then I happen to get an email from you. And this is all pre-planned from you.
Okay.
What happens is I'm ready to make a decision. What most people are doing is they're posting on social media to people who are not really candidates.
Correct. Yes.
I used to do a lot of posting on social media. I did that really as a way of looking for people like you who might be potential candidates. But what I found is the percentage was very small. I will continue to post on social media and do that going forward. But there are many other more efficient ways that you can get to the right person. And as I'm pointing out to you,
yes,
these lists that exist, they're there for the taking. So when you look at a list like Atlanta's top doctors or top whatever, you're talking about everybody on the list is making hundreds of thousands of dollars. In some cases has multiple offices and millions of dollars. And if you look in the magazine, many of them have bought ads because they have also been recognized. and their friends are buying ads to support. There's more roots and tentacles that you're creating when you're marketing, and you're creating a relationship. And don't think that this is all digital, because this is what everyone does today. You're using every tool in the chest to build a relationship with the right person. And if you're selling high-end products, this could be very lucrative to you. So you could find yourself in beautiful contracts with companies who decide that everyone who gets to a certain stage in their marketing process gets a box from you with something in it.
Thank you, Andre. That was really, today's webinar was over the top. You've given me so much to think about. Yes, I like the mixed media idea a lot, and I'm sure all the LLAs would love that.
Well, you're quite welcome. I'm glad it has been helpful.
Thank you.
Looks like Corey unmute you. Okay, there you go.
All right. Good afternoon, Andre.
Good afternoon to you, Corey.
And happy holidays to you. I apologize. I am driving, so that's probably the ambient sound that you're hearing in the background. But I do have a question.
Your Rolls Royce is very quiet, Corey. It's quite all right.
You know, they build them that way. I'm curious about your contacts, people that you network with, and the way that you create a database for your contacts. Is there a particular software that you recommend? Do you write them down maybe in a Google spreadsheet? And I know that there are different software out there for maintaining contacts. I'm just wondering if you have any feedback or suggestions on that.
The first step you should do is just build a very simple database or list in the most simplest way you can. Frankly, when I start out, I do it on pen and pad, and then I put it in Excel. Okay. And then I take the information and if we're going to send something by mail, Excel is already in a format where you can pull that information out. You could easily upload it into an email marketing program. There are more expensive solutions that are highly beneficial to doing systematic and targeted communication, like Infusionsoft, you may have heard of.
Right.
It's a software that handles it very well. I think that's like a $5,000 fee plus like a couple of $100 a month. If you have like 500 names or something like that, or below, it's just like $100 a month or something like that, and you can do it that way. But initially, work with a list that you can manage, and then when it gets unmanageable, that's good, because you're probably making enough money to buy software.
Right.
So I think that for most of the people on this call, we're talking about a couple of hundred names. You're talking about a few hundred names, which are easily manageable through these means. Now, when you start to get beyond that and you need to do more sophisticated mailings and activities, yes, you will need some other software. Say that Infusionsoft is a very good example of something that works very well. There are also various software online packages like I think I mentioned Zapier that will link your online stuff to other databases. I've used over the years Aweber for my email marketing. Right now, I use primarily MailChimp, even though I might move to a different platform for that. But the short answer is start with a simple spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet can be used both with email and with your offline activities. When it gets more complicated, to really execute this, you need much more expensive software. But I just don't see that you're going to have that challenge in the near term.
Understood. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Andre, for that. That's very helpful.
You're quite welcome. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Zabina, I see. Okay, let's see if I can unmute you. You're unmuted now, Zabina.
Hello, Andre. Hello, everyone.
Hello there.
Happy holiday for you all.
Thank you. I know there's no Thanksgiving there where you are, but
no, so it was good to hear in advance, because I might miss this opportunity to say to you. So thank you. I just would like to express my appreciation, Andre, because today's call was my favorite, really. I guess most of us might feel the same. How can I say? Sorry for my English. How can I imagine all of these things? Because now you showed some examples, and actually, now I got understood myself so much clearly, because when I was asking you about networking. I guess you remember. How can I build my relationship with the LLA members? You were so nice to me and make an effort and give me a list, the ones who are very active, so I have chance to networking with them. But I find myself discouraged by lacking some kind of information about them. I get the email address, but I felt not equal in a way, because now I'm still just deeply working on to shape my niche and just preparing everything for the next spring to launch my business. Everybody has already one. And I just felt so stupid if, okay, I can write an email, but like just as bad about it was just a stupid mind game what was actually won above me. But now I just realized everything. So I just wanted to say how inspirative for me this all LLA program and all of you, because every time I can learn something from you. So I feel I'm still very in a baby mode in the beginning, but I hope I can give you back soon. And now I could see Lancier's website, and maybe it's just a problem because of this geographical distance.
You're not getting U.S. preferences to your search, and you would find her as you continue to go through pages. You're not getting those geographic preferences. I love what you're saying, because there is a tendency sometimes to not realize how human this process has to be, particularly as it relates to luxury, because we're so used to thinking we're outside, we can't build a relationship with someone, or they don't know us, or they're way above us. Or I have built relationships with celebrities, politicians, business leaders, CEOs, by just taking a human approach. And one of the best things you can do is get some stationery with your name on it, with just your name, and write letters to people and say how nice it is to know them, or how nice it is to see what they're doing, and to get into the habit of communicating in that way, where you put yourself in a position of authority, reaching out to others in authority. And that's what, when I showed you the letter that I received, the bottle of champagne, that's what they were doing. They didn't know me. Now, Terry Williams did know me. She saw me around in various places, but that's what they were doing. They said, oh, here's a great group that we can reach out to that will help us market. And they started to do that in a direct way. So it's using that basic concept and understanding the people you want to connect with want to connect with you because they want what you have to offer, but you have to become attractive to them. First, they'll become attractive to you. You'll identify them, but you have to become attractive to them. And the way to do that is to begin that nurturing and relationship building process. And it will not happen just by posting online. You have to find a way to combine various elements. The thing you can do is I shared with everyone the Tiffany letter, which was really a PDF of a letter. That's an example of something you could do that would add some creativity to the process, which would be a little better than what others do. You know, you can even do a private video to someone, a private video saying, you know, congratulations on your achievement from our office to yours, and send them the link, and only they could get the link. So you can use these tools in many different ways, but you have to think about doing it in a personal way.
Thank you, Andre. It's very useful advice. Thank you. And now I understand even more. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
And another thing what was coming to my mind quickly, in the UK, this stationery, handwritten stationery, actually it's a very big tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And now I was thinking it's not an obstacle in a way for me now, because it's not so special in this content. If I'm just look at the UK part of this story, of course I can send handwritten stationery to the US if I want to, but I just don't know it makes sense, or actually I can try it. What is your thoughts about it?
I would certainly start locally. So start locally in the UK. And as you find contacts in other places that you believe are significant, then you can reach out to them, and you might start via email. Then you might follow that email up into a nice piece. I would start locally because it's just more affordable. I think that when you're starting this process, one of the first steps is to decide, who can I affordably reach out to? And often it is easier than you think, because even if you sent out 100 pieces, 200 pieces to someone, it can be quite affordable locally. It becomes cost prohibitive when you try to do it in many other ways and when you get into thousands. But I think that a highly qualified list, what you want to do is try to cultivate that locally, and then try to show up very uniquely, whether it's in their mailbox or the email box or wherever, so that you can begin this dialogue and ultimately potentially bring them on as clients.
Thank you, Andre.
You're quite welcome. I think that we have gotten everyone's question. I'm so glad that today's session was helpful to you. This is a process of unfolding, and as you look at these ideas more and more, they become more and more understandable to you. We have much to be thankful for, despite a year of unexpected twists and turns. And this is the week of Thanksgiving, and I wish for all of you nothing short of greatness during this season. It is one of my favorite seasons, and I have already been in the Thanksgiving pies. It's a great season. I want you to enjoy your family and friends this week and during this holiday. And I want you to know that I very much appreciate all of you and appreciate the work that you're doing. And it's wonderful to work with you. I look forward to our next session together. And so until then, everyone, happy Thanksgiving and have a great week and a weekend ahead. And I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
You too. Thank you.